Oh yes. Hello. I'm Megatron, and you're listening to Altered Geek Unlimited. Excellent. Yes.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek Unlimited episode 99. I'm your host Steve, Megatron Phillips, and I am again running solo this week. Big reason for that is I'm recording at work on my break. So I don't have access to any of my equipment. I can't use Skype. It's pretty much a lonely world after all. So, what has been new over the last week? Well, there's been plenty. Obviously, there was all the stuff I covered in Altered Geek last week, of course. I think one of the biggest news things to kind of pop up this week has been the fact that Windows 10 arrived for the public just a few days ago. I will say this without a shadow of a doubt. If you have Windows 7 or 8, it's not going to be much different, other than you'll have a new start menu interface, which has like this little kind of it almost has like an Xbox-ish vibe to the start menu, with a kind of a grid interface of like a Windows phone for the start menu, if that makes any sense. Like, it's got, when you click the little start icon, yeah, sorry for getting right into the heavy here. I just installed it on this PC here at work to test it out before I massacre my machines at home. I wanted to know if it was going to foobar my machine or not, because at least here I can fix it. And at home, I didn't want to lose all my stuff, whereas here it didn't really matter. Don't have much on it. But I was going to, actually last night, I was going to download Windows 10 on my Windows 8.1 machine, but it was taking too long, so I canceled it, and I think it has to do with the server load. I was going to put it on my Windows 7 machine, but I wanted to wait. But I installed it on my PC at work, and all of my little shortcuts, all of my icons, all of my settings, everything imported over. Just the operating system has been completely changed. Of course, they give it some new looks, some new icons, some new features. They give it a new look in the windows and the settings. And I think it's a lot easier to navigate than Windows 8. I had a hell of a time trying to figure that out the first time I ever touched it, and I still have a hard time. And I'm in IT. So, Windows 10, and again, I'm not one of those kind of like Microsoft fanboys. I don't like Apple, so to me it's the lesser of two evils. And I've always had a Microsoft machine, so it's what I know. But anyways, when you click on the start button, it loads up, it has your name, it shows most used, like it did before, on the left. And then it's got like your personal folder, File Explorer, Settings, Power, and then All Apps, which is your all programs. And then it's got New, which allows you to load something else. And then on your right side, it's got two different setups. I've customized mine already. I'm not sure what it says at the top anymore or the other one, but it's got two like little, basically you can create category folders in this start menu that they're full-blown. You can change the sizes, you can right-click on them to unpin them from the start menu, resize them to be small, medium, large, or wide. You can drag them all around however you see fit. Like, I have Cortana on the top left, I have my Windows Live Mail, I have the weather app thing that's on there. I have Internet Explorer, which still lets you use it in Windows 10, but it's obsolete technology. So Microsoft Edge browser, I have to say, is actually a welcome improvement. I like to think of it as what IE should have done probably 5 years ago. which is kind of adapt the Firefox-ish and Chrome kind of aesthetics. It's got a nice mixture of the two. Like I truly hate Chrome's look and like design and setup and everything. And it confuses the hell out of me. To me, it's a lot. They've simplified Internet Explorer into this Microsoft Edge so well that I actually would probably use this more so. I still use Firefox, but that's because I like it better. But the Microsoft Edge allows you to use HTML5. So that helps massively with the YouTube. You don't even need Flash Player, so which in this day and age, you don't need Flash, and there's too many vulnerabilities. And then I have my multimedia category below that. And I have like my Adobe products, my Microsoft Office stuff, my OneDrive, my media player. So I mean, it's all the stuff that I'd normally get to pretty quickly. Moving on to the other part of the start menu. The right-hand side with like the little icons and the clock and the date and the show desktop, that's all the same. The only difference is like when you click on the speaker, instead of vertical, it's horizontal. Your icons on your taskbar, they still show the little previews when you hover over them. They show you with a little underline of a different color of what programs are running currently. And they're all, you know, it's pinning. Basically, if you've used Windows 7 or 8 on the taskbar and that kind of stuff, it's basically the same thing. And then they have like your search bar next to the start button in between that and the icons. So you can actually search the web or Windows from right there. I have to say that it's probably a smart choice to actually switch at this point. Because really there's not that much different in this operating system that wasn't there before. Other than like some aesthetic changes. I mean, you still go to your properties, everything's still set up just like it would have been before. So to me, like it's almost a no-brainer. I think everybody's so caught up and worried about it because you hear all these tech experts going, well, you should wait because they're going to have this patch, or they're going to wait because they're going to have this, or you don't know how it's going to work with this. I've used all my Adobe products already. I've used all my software. I've tried a couple games. It all works. And I'm going to install it on both my machines when I get home. And nothing, I didn't lose anything. And if you hate it, it creates a windows.old folder, and you can actually go to your control panel and you can actually remove it. You can uninstall Windows 10 and go back to your original operating system. I do know that there is a 30-day window on that, so if you don't like it, you better hate it within the first 30 days, or else you're stuck with 10. Unless you have the original disc or the recovery CD or whatever, which I don't think they give anymore. That being said, I have had one issue, and I don't know if it's isolated. I don't know if it's because I have this huge library of fonts. I collect them because I do so much graphic design and so much stuff that I like to do that it's I just have a lot of them. The only issue I've had, and I haven't rebooted since I booted back into Windows 10 from 7 after it installed, and it may correct itself, I don't know. I'll post in the comments if it does. It now allows you to, the problem I'm having is only with the Microsoft Edge and the Internet Explorer browser, is certain web pages are showing up with a font that is in my font directory, and it's kind of hard to read. But Firefox doesn't have that issue. So I'm not quite sure what caused that to happen or why it happened. But I'm optimistic that I'll either A, figure it out, or B, I'll find somebody that knows. So yeah, that's that. Kind of going on a little bit of other stuff. What did you guys think about my episode last week? I asked a lot of different questions. I kind of brought up some topic ideas that we could do. Just kind of wondering on that, because I think it'd be fun to talk about some things other than kind of geeky news or stuff like that. So, yeah, just let me know on that. We'll be right back after this break now. Okay, we're back. So, as you guys know, I like YouTube videos. I have a fun time watching them. I like kind of discovering these funny ones that kind of pop up all over the place. One I just discovered just a little bit ago, and it was posted on the Huffington Post. Somebody edited Chris Farley into the new Mission Impossible trailer, replacing anything with Tom Cruise with Farley. It's actually pretty damn good. Taking a lot from like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep and kind of mixing it together in there. It fits really well, actually. The only time will tell if they actually superimpose them in something later. So there was I kind of was watching this anyway. There was Stephen Amell was posting a lot of funny stuff the other night because people were kind of going back and forth about how Arrow is going to change and the Green Arrow and everything else, and people were like, oh, when are you gonna get the goatee and get the kind of Robin Hoodish hat? And he says it'll never happen. The goatee and everything else, and he says if we're lucky enough to go to 6 seasons, I'll show up the first day looking like this guy. And then of course he's got the stupid crap with Stardust, the guy from WWE, which I think is ridiculous. I don't know why that's even a thing. Not WWE, but the Stardust thing, I think it's just stupid. Of course, we've also been getting little splinters of Batman vs. Superman images kind of popping up all over the place lately from Empire Magazine. They got one cover with Batman and Superman on it. They got another cover with Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. The Batman one, Bruce Wayne, it says Gotham's protector or crazy vigilante, and then Clark Kent it says world savior or alien tyrant. I don't know. It's kind of neat seeing this stuff kind of pop up. We've only waited a couple years for this stuff, so it's kind of nice seeing that it go that direction. So they are making an all-male Ghostbusters movie. Again, not with the original cast, which I'm fine with. Truthfully, I think it'd be cool if they had these 2 parallel Ghostbusters films, the all-male one and all-female one, and then they join forces. And then you just have a whole, you have the, basically I think it would be cool to have that and have the original Ghostbusters that are still among us and kind of mix them together as like a Expendables type movie with Ghostbusters. Just because it would be purely absurd. Because let's put it this way, these movies, they're remaking them all. I mean, so they don't hold the same gravitas that they used to. Granted, I think that the female one's going to be pretty good. Just because of who they got in it and who's directing it. And that guy knows how to do a lot of stuff with those people, so it should be good anyway. But the all-male one is kind of funny that now it's going to be in the same universe. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but the screenwriter and the director of Ghostbusters, the female one, said that they want to do a movie of it, but they can't tell really a lot about it. I think it would be neat if they had all of that kind of come out to play. I'm not really sure who's going to be in it. Some people are screaming for like Chris Pratt and Channing Tatum, which I don't really want to see either one of them in one of those. I'd rather just see them get kind of more unknowns or more like some of the male players from Saturday Night Live. Because to me, I think that having more of the Saturday Night Live actor vibe to it, like all of them but Melissa McCarthy were on Saturday Night Live, either currently or were on it for the female one. And the original Ghostbusters, they were all on Saturday Night Live. So if you kind of go with that route, they've got enough of the male players that they could do that again, and then if they connected the original guys to it, you could actually have a pretty cool throw together kind of callback movie or cameos of the original guys with them all in the same universe, just having them retired. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool. Never know. It's the time will tell. I would be happy if they did that though. So Fuller House, not that many people care about this show. I've seen a lot of comments going either way and saying that they don't really care. I think it would be neat to see. Well, obviously they're going to have all the original cast back, other than the Olsen twins. It would be funny if they just cast Elizabeth Olsen from Age of Ultron and just had her replace Michelle Tanner. It'd just be funny that way. And they did cast a wife for Danny Tanner on there, so that's kind of neat. Bear with me as I jump topics again. There's quite a differing jump around in this episode, unfortunately for you. So with the Suicide Squad, they're trying to say that now Batman is the one that locked them all up. No surprise there. But they're saying that being that we're seeing Batman being basically 45, 46, he's been Batman for 20 years, all the history there. The fact that there's Robin there. And then, so, yeah, they're just saying more or less that they're just trying to clickbait you into it. So that's basically what it is. He's locked up all of Task Force X. So, yeah, that's why that's a whole big deal. Chris Pine is Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman. He signed on to play that, basically like the original rumor portrayed it. Again, I don't know much about the character, so it doesn't faze me one iota. I don't care either way. But I look forward to seeing how all of this turns out in the DC universe. Netflix is apparently going to get more Marvel series. Punisher could also be one of the spin-offs of Daredevil. Which would probably be smart on their point, because I don't think the films went over all that well. I mean, I could be wrong. I know people like the films, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they went over all that well. Kind of in the same vein of Ghost Rider and stuff like that, which I wouldn't be surprised if that made a jump in here somewhere in the future. Jumping over to the DC realm again, we have Hawkman coming to Flash and Arrow. It says before he appears in the spinoff DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which I don't think I remember seeing that Hawkman was going to be a part of it, but I could be wrong. It's been a little bit, so maybe that's true. It says he's going to be charismatic and wise beyond his years, natural-born leader with an abundance of charm and confidence, because he's 5,000 years old. Says he'll retain memories from his many resurrections, unlike Hawkgirl, who will have no memory of her past lives, or even Hawkman when the pair first meet. It says that he's going to show up really quick into the beginning of the season. Just not saying where. I have no problem with it. It's kind of funny, though, they're bringing this... Wasn't this character in Smallville, too? Just like Arrow and so on? So, I would rather see a Green Lantern jump on here and Nightwing rather than see, like, Hawkman, Hawkgirl kind of stuff. But that's just me personally. And then, of course, there's, on Game Informer, they have, the readers have spoken and selected the best version of Batman. As if there was any doubt in my mind who was going to win this. We have, let me go over the list of Batman. You have the animated series Batman, Dark Knight Returns, Christian Bale, You have the Arkham Asylum games. You have Lego Batman. You have Adam West Batman. You have Michael Keaton Batman. You have Tim Sale's Batman, and you have Gotham by Gaslight's Batman. Let's take a gander at who won. And it's not even like a close contest here. It's pretty fair that Kevin Conroy's Batman won. For the animated series, like specifically. He has like 50% of the votes, like just smack down the middle. Which, I didn't even see it as a contest. The funny thing is the Arkham Asylum series is the next smaller piece of the pie, and it's like, I would say probably about a quarter of what's left at the other side is that. So that means that Kevin Conroy has about 2/3 of the pie for being Batman and being the number one Batman at that. Followed closely behind, we have the Christian Bale Batman, and then they go to Lego Batman. Or no, I'm sorry, Michael Keaton Batman, and then Lego Batman, which is also tied with the 60s Batman. It's actually kind of funny, though. If they don't get him for the Killing Joke, that's just a travesty. I hope that they get that done soon. I know that's coming out next year, but I hope that they reveal it, since Mark Hamill is the Joker in it, as if there was any doubt in my mind what was going on there. AT&T is just getting the okay to buy up DirecTV. The FCC approved AT&T's $48.5 billion purchase of DirecTV, making them the second biggest cell carrier and officially merging with the biggest satellite TV provider, which they've been selling this stuff for years anyway. It's kind of... It was kind of like the logical point. I mean, they've been kind of outsourcing that for years. So to have them do this, it only made sense. So as a part of the merger and the net neutrality and all that kind of stuff, they must expand their fiber optic broadband service to an additional 12.5 million customers, since merging eases the incentive to expand as aggressively. It's also, it says that the conditions too is that the hybrid won't be able to throttle things like Netflix or place sketchy data caps on people who love to stream. It says, recognizing that AT&T is the only major ISP that applies data caps across the board to all of its fixed broadband customers, and this merger increases the incentives of AT&T DirecTV to use strategies that limit consumers' access to online video distribution services in order to favor its own video services. The Commission requires AT&T DirecTV, as a condition of this merger, to refrain from imposing discriminatory usage-based allowances or other discriminatory retail terms and con. So it also has to offer in their broadband to low-income consumers at discounted rates and service certain schools and libraries a concession AT&T offered to help sweeten the merger with regulators. Obviously it worked. So, well, looks like you're going to get the option for satellite TV, AT&T customers, so way to go. I have them for their cell phone service, and I have no intention of going to their internet because Comcast is faster, even though they are the bastards from hell. This is something that I like to speak about only because there's such a freaking hatred for it. Adam Sandler movies. Obviously, he's just come out with a new one in Pixels, which I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's going to be the same kind of, grab bag that he's been doing for the last 10 years. Honestly, I don't think he's had a really good movie since Click. Another reason that I thought about doing this was because I watched the movie fights on Screen Junkies, and I love that channel. But so I'm listening to their fight of Adam Sandler, and I'm sitting there, and John Bailey, I think, picked forget what movie it was. Anyways, one of them picked Jack and Jill. Oh, he picked Little Nicky. The other guy picked Hal Rudnick picked Jack and Jill, and Allison Hayslip picked Click, but she based it off the trailer, so she's never actually seen it. Click was one of the few that actually kind of evolved Adam Sandler in a sense. Like, it gave him some of that, classic Sandler moments with the old Doyles and stuff like that, but it gave him some of his slapstick, but it also kind of made him evolve a little bit in the story, kind of showing that family is kind of number one. And when I saw that whole conversation, just because I think that part of it should have been disqualified just because she hadn't seen the damn movie. And I'm a Adam Sandler fan. Wouldn't say I'm a fanatic or anything. I really enjoy his movies, but I don't expect much. It's same reason I go into Jim Carrey movies. I don't expect much, but Jim Carrey was relevant in the 90s, other than his serious stuff he's done in the 2000s. Anything he's done comedic in the 2000s has been crap. Adam Sandler has had a couple of bad ones here or there. I have to agree with this article. It's on Variety. It says that he did The Cobbler, which wasn't very good, but it wasn't bad either. Blended, which had Drew Barrymore in there with him, I thought was terrible. And That's My Boy, I thought was just as terrible. Jack and Jill, I thought was terrible. Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2, I was fine with those. I understood that they weren't really grown up, but it was him basically. It's like them getting it to be together as grown-ups, like as if they were from, still in Saturday Night Live, and they've all grown apart, and then they're all coming back together. That's kind of what I saw it as, so it kind of made sense to me. So I didn't mind either one of those, even though the second one wasn't needed. Hotel Transylvania, obviously that's a good film. That's, more kid-friendly and everything, so that I don't have a problem with. But it says that his, career went from like $4 billion in ticket sales total to nothing, which is pretty true, because Pixels I don't think is doing all that hot, and it's the same kind of grab bag kind of stuff. I don't necessarily think that they should have had control over it. I like the concept, I'm just not sure that they had the right cast, but I yet again, I haven't seen it, so I can't really judge it, and I'm not going to judge it because it's not fair to the movie. I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say about Pixels if you've already seen it. I've seen the short film it was loosely based off of, but I don't know much more than that, and what's in the Adam Sandler trailers. But some of the key top 5 reasons that they bring up that he's no longer relevant, or more so not a movie star, is he aged out of his material, being that he's 48 and he's still trying to play like 90s comedy. Which, until I read this article, it used to piss me off that people would sit there and nitpick Adam Sandler because I enjoyed his stuff. But then, like, over the last, 5 years, it could be because I'm a parent now and I don't know, I'm getting older, so a lot of stuff's just not hitting the same nerve it used to. Like, I like my 90s comedies, I like my 80s stuff, I like those films for what they were, but when they try and revisit or try and use the same formula now, I just kind of pan it. So I guess it's kind of both on my aging and growing up and the fact that they aren't, which is odd to me. But it never really put it in perspective to me until I read this article because, his hits were like Billy Madison, Waterboy, Big Daddy, Deeds, Click, Grown Ups, So those were all like pretty much his like good movies. Like, I know some people like Funny People. I didn't like it, but I don't like Apatow, so it doesn't jive with me all that well. And then he did like the indie film Men, Women, and Children. I didn't see it because it didn't strike me as something I'd really care about. Punk Drunk Love, never seen it, don't really care to see it. again, like, I don't really look for Sandler for, like, his, like, serious, like, dark or deep serious stuff. I don't mind if it's, like, somewhat serious, but I don't really want him to be all in. But I don't want him to be a complete tool either in everything he's in. So, again, whatever. They say that he's not edgy, which obviously he was, and that's my boy and Funny People, but they didn't really, again, people are not going with that whole vibe. They're knocking him also because he needs new friends, they put. Because he always has the same people, basically Steve Buscemi, Rob Schneider, David Spade, Norm Macdonald, Kevin James, etc. In all of his films, pretty much all of them. And then they also say that one of his underrated Just Go With It, which I forgot about until it mentioned it. That was pretty good. And then the fact that he doesn't really talk to the press. It says he hates the press and he's not as media friendly, and says that he's not even trying for the other one, because he did Spanglish and stuff like that. Which I saw Spanglish, and I saw the other one, Reign Over Me, which was good too. And I liked those, but they're not something I watch all the time. And then I've heard, of course, all the bad publicity with Ridiculous 6, which it's probably going to be another one of his stupid-ass comedies, not going to lie, but it's probably not going to be any dumber than the, 1,000 Ways to Die in the West or whatever that Seth MacFarlane did. I don't see it being much different. So, if people like that, I'm sure they'll like Ridiculous 6. It's going to be the same stupid-ass concept, so sorry. But, so I mean, it's not entirely bad. I like Sandler, but I do agree he needs to kind of move on to different things. And Lord knows that he's not trying anymore. He's basically already admitted that he goes and shoots movies in locations that he wants to go on vacation with his family, and so that's what he does. Example, Hawaii, Africa, just stuff like that. Stuff that he can get the studio to pay for because he's shooting a movie. So, off that soapbox, that's been a fun word over the last few days. So, apparently, and I don't know if this is legit or not, it's on Extreme Tech, they say that scientists discover a genetic pathway responsible for aging, which means we could probably live into the hundreds. It's owned by Ziff Davis, so I'll give it credit. But it says that, obviously they're trying to fight death, and it says Google and synthetic genomics have waded into the life extension business, bringing their millions of dollars in funding. They've made numerous discoveries. They're trying to find an actual cure to aging, but we would die of starvation if we didn't die off eventually. I mean, there's only so much you can do in your lifetime before it's just, you're done. I wouldn't mind living to be 150. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't, because that would be cool. Getting to see a whole new generation of things that didn't exist, Oh, those young whippersnappers have this, and I didn't when I was a boy. We had Nintendo, they get to go into the holodeck. So, yeah, I would love to see that, but let's face it, I'm probably not going to live that long. I drink too much Coke. Eats away at my innards and my teeth. Which my wife also pointed out an article to me about that today, that it destroys you from the inside. I believe it. But anyways, they used a worm of some kind to kind of find this magical switch, and it's a single genetic pathway that controls the aging process. And then they discovered that humans have the same switch. So they believe that with their research in that, they can apply it to humankind and animals and basically turn the switch off. They say basically when you hit puberty, your body starts to die. Or you hit to your full adult life, look at like 20, and then you just go downhill from there. So that's all they're saying with that. I think it'd be cool if they could figure it out. I'm sure that there'll be so many innovations over the next 20 years on that it'll be just different in general. So I wanted to talk a couple things about the website. And when I mention that, I mean, I've changed the comment section at a request of some people. And I think that this will be more beneficial to people in general. You can now post basically like when you're on social media, Tumblr, or Twitter, or whatever, you can express yourself with not only text, you now have the ability to post like YouTube videos to kind of reference something. You can use a meme, you can post an image. It will all now show up in the comment section. There is no special thing that you have to do. It's all in there. The ability is there. I did it on last week's episode, or I should say Monday's episode, where I talked about the SWAT cats, and then I posted the intro to the show in there. I've always had the capability, but I unlocked it so that others could do it too, because I have a pretty good spam filter in there. I shouldn't have to worry about it, and it would be fun for everybody else to do. So yeah, you guys go ahead and have fun in there, try it out, see what you like, what you don't like. We're currently working on some stuff behind the scenes to hopefully better the content of the website, of our publications, of everything in general. I am still in the process of editing my school project for the short film that we're shooting, or done shooting actually. We just finished that this week. So now I get to synchronize all the audio, the video. It's very tedious, but once we get into the editing stage of it, the beginning of the week, it should be a lot more fun because we'll get to actually see this thing put together. I will say I already have like a minute and a half of bloopers, which I'll probably put out after the fact. Because they're out of context, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what place they are, where they take place in the movie. It's kind of fun. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. I'm also, like I said, I'm trying to work on some side podcast projects, video podcast projects. I'm trying to plan it out before I do them, because I'd like to have guests on the show. I'd like to have more interactions. I'd like to be able to pull in like phone calls. I'd like it to be a lot more interactive than it currently is. Because honestly, I think it would be great to have one of you guys on the show to bounce stuff off of sometimes. And you know, you bring your own topic, and we could even do, you know, even if it's a limited time, do like 20 minutes or something. It could still be something different, because we could get a little panel, you know, and try and set up some hosts that will go with us and kind of go on this journey to discuss geekdom or something that matters to you. I mean, I would find that interesting, because don't get me wrong, like all of the hosts I've recorded with are awesome in every way, but I pretty much know the responses that I'm going to get. And I'm not sure if you know that either, but like I'm not knocking anybody at all, because I love recording with everybody, and they're all going to be back on the show eventually in different capacities, even if I kind of split things up a little bit. And this is the last episode before we hit the Epic 100, so please get in your comments, your questions. I want it to be basically a giant Q&A, you know, ask anything. Bring up whatever you want, whatever you feel like. Tell, you know, what you've liked about the show, what you haven't liked about the show. I mean, everything's an open board for episode 100. I'm not going to talk about any of the geek pop culture news, nothing. It's going to be just kind of a giant grab bag. I'm going to go back to some old episodes, look through the comments. I'm going to do a little bit of research on them so I know what I'm preparing for. So if you have anything, post it in this episode under the comment section on geekcastradio.com and let me know. And if you don't want to post it there, you can always contact me on Twitter at SCP21 or at Altered Geek, and I will respond on either one. This is the first show that I've done almost every episode and actually hit 100. Like, GeekCast Radio hasn't hit 100, The Beast Unleashed didn't hit 100, All Things Transformers would have hit 100 if I didn't reboot it. It would have been well over 100 when I had version 2.0 end, but I rebooted it for some strange reason. I think it was to give it a fresh start. But when I reboot this show, yes, I am rebooting the show, I'm going to give it a facelift. Basically like the Windows 7 to Windows 10. The core will be there, but it's going to have a new style, a new look. I think that over the last year, I've kind of, some of it I've actually prepared for, and some of it I haven't. And it depends on the week. You'll most likely know. I've been pretty prepared the last few weeks. But it's gonna be I'm gonna have segments. It's gonna go back to a little bit more of the beginning of the show, how it was in the original days. I'm gonna do less, less is more, kind of converse on it. I'm open to suggestions of little segments, but I do have some in mind that I think would be kind of cool to throw in there. But I do plan on collaborating with other podcasters and having them on the show, so look forward to that as well. I've got a couple little pocket segments that I could do as other shows, but they'll fit better all in this one-hour episode of the show from now on. So, with that, I really don't have anything else to bring up without rambling on forever. I know that I just got my superhero certificate, which is great. I know I mentioned it before, but I'm pumped. It's really cool. I like the art that gets sent along with it. I'll when I do a YouTube video shortly, I will have that displayed in there as well. It's been really cool. I'm going to do it again shortly too in August. I'm also going to have, as I mentioned before, I'm going to have some review products coming to me in the next couple weeks. So that'll be really cool. And I'll talk about that on the show, and I'll have them in the reviews, and be sure to check all that out. And so again, check the website, leave me comments, leave anything you want to tell me about the show, or how certain things we may have talked about may have revived some of your inner geekdom. So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. See you next time.